Let's talk about masculinity. It's a word we hear all the time, but it seems like no one can quite agree on what it really means. Society has come a long way, but masculinity has often remained stuck in old-fashioned, rigid definitions. Men must be strong, stoic, dominant, and emotionless. But is that really all there is to being a man? More importantly, is that even healthy? The short answer is no, but the longer answer, as we'll discuss, is that true masculinity is so much more than these stereotypes. For a long time, men have been expected to fit into a very specific mold. Boys are often told from a young age to man up when they're upset or to be tough when they face hardships. These messages stick with them throughout life. The internet and popular culture don't always help either. If you spend enough time online, you'll see conflicting ideas about what makes a real man. On one side, you have the hyper-masculine ideas that glorify aggression, control, and emotional suppression. On the other side, there's a growing voice calling for a more modern, balanced approach that combines strength with vulnerability, leadership with empathy. So let's break it down. What's the difference between fake and real masculinity? Fake masculinity is driven by insecurity and the need to prove oneself. It pushes men to act tough, dominate others, and hide any signs of weakness. This version of masculinity is all about external validation, looking strong and powerful, even if it means hurting yourself or others. For instance, a man who believes in this kind of masculinity might never show emotions, thinking that's the only way to maintain control. He might believe that he has to always be the loudest voice in the room, or even use aggression to prove his dominance. The sad part is, this kind of behavior isn't strength. It's a defense mechanism that hides fear and insecurity. Real masculinity, on the other hand, doesn't need to prove anything. It's about inner strength, confidence, and being comfortable with who you are. A truly masculine man can lead and take charge when necessary, but he also knows when to listen and collaborate. He's not afraid to admit when he's wrong or ask for help. He's strong, but not aggressive. Think about a man who takes responsibility for his actions, learns from mistakes, and treats others with respect. This man doesn't need to shout or dominate to be recognized. His character speaks for itself. One of the big ways men misinterpret masculinity is by using it to justify harmful behaviors. For example, some men believe that being aggressive or controlling in their relationships is a sign of strength. But in reality, it's just toxic behavior that causes damage to both partners. We often see men justifying bad behavior with statements like, "I'm just being a man," or "that's just how men are," as if that somehow excuses toxic traits like emotional manipulation, jealousy, or even physical violence. Take emotional repression as another example. A lot of men are taught that showing feelings is a sign of weakness. Because of this, they bottle up emotions until it all comes out in destructive ways, whether that's anger, addiction, or deep depression. Studies show that men are far less likely to seek help for mental health issues because they've been conditioned to handle things alone. But real strength comes from acknowledging emotions and working through them, not burying them. So how do we embrace true masculinity? It starts with self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Men need to be able to recognize their emotions, understand where they come from, and express them in healthy ways. Emotional strength doesn't mean never feeling sadness or fear. It means knowing how to cope with those feelings without letting them control you. We also need to redefine what it means to be strong. Strength isn't about physical dominance or forcing others to see things your way. It's about resilience, patience, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. In a modern world, masculinity also means embracing equality. The idea that men need to be in control or above others is outdated. True masculinity values partnerships and teamwork. This applies to relationships with women, colleagues, and even friends. Rather than seeing gender roles as a competition, men should support and respect women as equals. It's no longer about being the provider or protector in the old-fashioned sense, but about working alongside women to create balanced, healthy lives. Women can learn from this healthier version of masculinity too. They can see how emotional strength combined with vulnerability makes men more well-rounded individuals. Instead of expecting men to be emotionless providers or protectors, women should encourage men to express their emotions and embrace empathy. The way women react to men's emotions can make a huge difference. When men feel safe expressing themselves, they're more likely to do so. This creates stronger, more open relationships. If we want to become true men, we need to break the cycle of toxic masculinity. That starts with questioning outdated beliefs and being willing to change. It's about constantly striving for personal growth, whether that means learning more about emotional intelligence, embracing responsibility, or supporting others. Being a man isn't about fitting into a box of what society expects, it's about being the best version of yourself. One way we can all change for the better is by creating supportive communities. We need spaces, whether in person or online, where men can feel safe expressing themselves without judgment. These communities can help men realize that they're not alone in their struggles and that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness but of strength. Mentorship is another key factor. Positive male role models can show younger generations that being a man is about more than just physical strength or control. It's about integrity, compassion, and emotional resilience. Ultimately, masculinity should be about balance. It's about having the strength to protect and the vulnerability to connect. It's about being assertive when necessary, but also knowing when to step back and listen. The future of masculinity isn't about rigid roles or stereotypes. It's about men embracing their full range of emotions and strengths to become better individuals, partners, and leaders.